Had the British parliamentary elections of June the 9th, 1984 been held 2 years earlier, likely the Conservatives would have faced a massive defeat, because the first net effects of their economic policies of privatization, tax cuts, and so forth had been to increase unemployment, and they had even resulted in major riots in several major British cities in the summer of 1981. However, Thatcher benefited from the eventual upturn in the British economy, from a growing support for the Conservatives in the middle class and even some sections of the working class, and from a resurgence of British patriotism following Britain's victory in the Falkland Islands, or Islas Malvinas war against Argentina in 1982. Argentina was still ruled by a military junta at the time. Besides, the Labour Party suffered from having probably one of the worst leaders it could have had, left-wing Professor Michael Foot, who, for example, called for unilateral disarmament, for British withdrawal from the European Economic Community. Mind you, Margaret Thatcher was no great friend of the European Economic Community either. She said no, no, no to Jacques Delors' proposals for an integrated European Union several years later. Besides, the centre-left votes were badly divided between the Labourites and the Liberal Social Democratic Alliance. 4 members, breakaway members of the Labour Party, including David Owen and Roy Jenkins, who had even served in former Prime Minister Wilson's cabinets in the 1960s and 1970s, if I remember correctly, at least in the 1960s, formed the Social Democratic Party. Apparently it tried to institute a Northern European, Nordic or Scandinavian, if you prefer the term, like Social Democratic Party in Britain. And the two parties were almost equal in terms of votes, but radically unequal in terms of the seats. So the net effect was, of course, to favor the Conservatives, and some cynics called the Labour Party's election manifesto or program in 1983 the world's or the history's longest suicide note. Leaving that aside, the Conservatives, despite losing votes to 42.4% of the vote, or 13,012,000, were able to gain seats up to 397 because of the centre-left votes split between the Labourites, who received 27.6% of the vote and 209 seats, and the Social Democratic Liberal Alliance, led jointly by Roy Jenkins and David Steele, which received 25.4% of the vote and 23 seats. So Britain was in for another term of Thatcherite government.